Thanks so much. Well, yeah, it's my pleasure to be here today to present to you about earning money while still being a student. Obviously, this is a hot topic for a lot of people that are interested in finances and saving some money while they are paying for their college tuition. So my name is Maria Mallory. I work at the University of Cincinnati, where I am an admissions counselor, and Kazakhstan is in my territory. So I'm extremely happy to be here and talk to all of you as my global audience. And so I'll go to my profile slide. This is my contact information. If you do want to take down my email, I'm available anytime to answer your questions. Our specialty and our focus is undergraduate enrollment, so first year and transfer students for undergraduate 4 or 5 year degrees. However, I can direct you to our graduate admissions as well if you were interested in a graduate degree. I am an alumni of University of Cincinnati. I went to UC and I studied liberal arts. Love it. I wasn't actually from Cincinnati, so I moved to Cincinnati for school because I really felt compelled by all the opportunities on campus, and the campus itself was just so beautiful. I really felt like it was my calling to go there. So I'm very happy to be working here now and to be presenting about UC and the opportunities that we have. So we'll talk a little bit about that at the end. But first, I'm going to get more general feel for experiential learning, which is a general term that many people do not really understand. Just an overview about that, and then I'll dive deeper into what is called cooperative education, or shortened for CoOp. This is a great way to earn money as a student. We'll talk about the skills that you learn on a co-op, the visas that you may need to work legally in the United States, and talk about UC specifically, and then we'll wrap up with some questions if you have any for me. I'm super happy to answer them, and you can always put them in the chat. We'll answer those at the end. So the term experiential learning, I was unfamiliar with this as a student. However, 100% of our students at UC are doing experiential learning. So I wasn't aware that I was participating in experiential learning opportunities. But basically it just means that you're learning while you're doing something. So you're not just going to the classroom and sitting and getting talked to by a professor. There are those classroom aspects at UC, but there are also experiences that you can go outside of the classroom and actually tangibly learn something. So many of these things would be called cooperative education, or co-op, where you are going out onto a job and doing a job. You're studying abroad. So I participated in study abroad, which means that I also did experiential learning. You could do an academic internship. You could do research, depending on the major that you're in. Service learning opportunities and volunteer opportunities, in the country or outside of the country, and performance, which we have a very large music school that's very popular globally called CCM, and all of the students there participate in performances. And so at the top, you'll also see that UC has the largest cooperative education program in the United States, and it's #1 among public institutions and #3 nationwide. So I'll talk a little bit more about co-op, because that is a wonderful way to earn money while participating in experiential learning. I just wanted to give you an overview of this term before I dove deeper into co-op. So co-op, what is it? Maybe you've never heard this term before. Maybe you have, and you just didn't really understand the differences between it and an internship. So cooperative education, or co-op, is combining classroom-based education with paid practical work experience in a structured way. So it's integrated in our majors. A lot of the schools around the United States that participate in co-op also just do the paid learning aspect, and it is integrated in curriculums, so it's directly going to be related to the major that you've signed up for in your university. This is going to be relevant work experience to the major that you choose. So those are always going to be paid full-time work experiences. You're working about 35 to 40 hours per week on the semester that you're on co-op. So during that time, you're getting supervised by our career educators, your academic advisors. You're working closely with the people at your university to make sure that you're getting the credits that you need and the experience is relevant to everything that you need it to be relevant to. These are assessed co-op experiences, so the people in your job, your supervisors, are working closely with your university to make sure that you are, doing the projects that you need to be doing for your major, getting that relevant work experience, asking the right questions, and getting that individual and group experience that is so important to graduating with relevant experience in your major. And it will be for a full semester. So around a 4-month co-op is the length. You're going to be maybe January to May per se. So for that semester, you're not paying tuition. You are simply on the job, getting relevant work experience and getting paid for the full work week. Many people don't understand that co-op differs from internships in a lot of different ways. So you may have heard about an internship, but you don't know about a co-op. So co-op specifically, these are built into your academic curriculum. So it may not be for the summer like an internship could be. Internships are usually when you are not in class. However, co-op is a semester when you are not in class, but it's the semester that you're supposed to be designated into class. So that these are predetermined credits during that semester that you're going to be out on the job on your co-op. These are, like I said, always paid. That's a really amazing opportunity. On average, students will earn $10,000 on their co-op rotation, and this is even just a starting salary. So it depends on your major, and it depends on how many co-ops you've already done and how much experience you already have to show. But that's a really helpful way to pay off your tuition and pay off your living expenses. Many times these co-ops are also including your housing. So the employer might pay for your housing and your accommodation. So all you might have to pay for that semester is, the lunches that you're taking whenever you're on break, which is pretty amazing to be saving that much money. Number 3, students will be taking, at UC at least, and I believe that this is relevant to all other universities, they take an introduction to cooperative education class so that you're getting prepared for your co-op rotation. So students, I'll talk a bit more about this during our visa slide, but for a full year, you're taking classes in preparation of your cooperative education experience so that you are well prepared to be on the job. We're not just throwing you out there and saying, hey, this is your employer's problem. We are working closely with you as a student before you ever leave university so that you are a really great employee. You understand what a professional work experience is going to look like. You have language abilities if you're going to be international. All of these things are really important before you actually take that job. So we want to prepare you for that. Number 4, all of these students are going to be working with our faculty to identify your and reach your goals and get the job placement that you want. So we have career fairs that you can go interview with many employers. We will prepare you by helping you practice your interview skills. There are many resources that we will give you ahead of time so that you are adequately prepared for your co-op. Number 5, students, like I mentioned, are not paying tuition. So at UC, our tuition per semester is around $13,000. And that's without any scholarships or anything, but that is our flat rate for the semester. And instead, you're only paying a $465 co-op fee to hold your place as a student and to also have those resources and those advisors at will whenever you need them. And number 6, UC co-op students altogether are earning about $28 million per year. So as you can see, that's a very large number. We have many, many students that are opting into the co-op opportunities that we have at UC. And so that collective number represents, pay ranges all over the board in many different majors, which I will talk about shortly when I do dive further into UC in particular. And an average is about $1,700 to $2,500 per month, which is a pretty great salary for a student. that is well above minimum wage in the United States, and especially in Cincinnati and, you know, smaller cities, that can get you very, very far per month. You'll be saving up a lot of your money that you're making on co-op. Lastly, we have an international co-op, which is an extension of our original co-op model. This is going to be an opportunity for you to operate in a global market and you know, go outside of the United States for your placements. What's nice about this is students will learn the language of whichever country you've decided to go to ahead of time. So if you're going to Japan for your co-op, you're learning Japanese in those semesters ahead of time to prepare you for on-the-job training in Japan, so you can go there and you can really kick butt. It's going to be a 5-month work experience, so this gives you an opportunity to work and live abroad. It's second to none to be able to do that and to really integrate yourself in a different culture. But what I like to tell students who are already international is that this is a really great opportunity if you have plans to go back to your home country after graduating and you want to work in your home country, because you can actually go find a job placement, network with people in your field, and find future employers that potentially would want to hire you after you graduate. So you can return to your home country already having that work experience in Kazakhstan, for instance, and you already know some people that you can say, okay, I've gotten my degree. What do you have for me in terms of open job placements? And a lot of our students do take opportunities from their co-op after they are looking for a full-time position. So they've already made those connections, and the co-op job placement really likes them as an employee. So they just connect again, and they usually will lead to a full-time position. So I've mentioned that the top universities, we're number 3 of all top universities, but I did want to just show you all 5 of the top 5 in the United States, just to give you a point of reference. A lot of Ivy League schools with the co-op placements as well. University of Cincinnati invented cooperative education. So we consistently are ranked in the top because we have such an integrated program here at our university. This is one of our hugest selling points. So we absolutely want our students to not only take advantage of these opportunities, but to make sure that it is helpful for them and that they graduate as a really successful alumni. So just recently in our UC News, I can send you the article if you'd like. One of our alum is now working for Apple because of the co-op program. For instance, one of our Vietnamese student ambassadors who worked in the international admissions department, she went to BP for her spring co-op, British Petroleum in Chicago, which is a really competitive internship. And now she's going to be going in the fall to Tesla and working with them as well. So she's a chemical engineering student, and she's working with these, you know, top players in the industry, and hopefully securing jobs for whenever she graduates, and she'll be getting paid lots of money for this as well. And as you can just see, in comparison, we have one of the top co-op programs in the country. However, our tuition and fees pale by comparison to a lot of these other universities' tuition rates. So if you're budget-minded, which I'm sure a lot of you are, if you're coming here to worry about earning money as a student, you're like, well, how can I pay? How can I pay for my tuition? Well, it would be to choose a university that does have a lower tuition rate, but still has all the great opportunities as a lot of the top schools as well. So general career skills that you can learn in your co-op placements. I think it's pretty obvious, but this is the full list. You can graduate with 2 years of working experience. So you're doing a co-op rotation pretty much every other semester. You might be in classes on co-op, in classes on co-op for the 5 years that you have your program. So that's 2 full years on your resume that you can show projects that you've done and led. You can deliver presentations. You've built your resume and your portfolio up so that you have on-the-job experience that you can showcase as you're interviewing. You've already networked with professionals who can also be your references as people are checking references and calling for you and asking if you're a good employee. You have people in the industry that can talk about your accolades. You have strengths that you don't know about yet. You're putting your classroom knowledge to the test, and obviously benefiting as well from travel opportunities within the United States and abroad. So there are many co-op placements in Cincinnati, and you can stay local if you'd like to, which is a great opportunity. But if you want to go to Los Angeles, or you've always dreamed about living in New York City or Chicago, you're more than welcome to find co-ops in those places as well and live there for about 5 months. And you could honestly continue a co-op there for up to 2 years. So you potentially could live in New York City while not paying the tuition rates of a New York City school. In terms of the visa that you might need, and I'm not a visa officer, so I just want to preface this talk with, I don't want to give too much advice about this because we have visa officers at UC who are much better at this than I am and are designated to tell you the correct lingo and make sure that you're legally allowed to do everything you're doing. But in the United States, we call this CPT, or Curricular Practical Training. So this is a way for students to obtain employment that is part of their curriculum. So co-op will fall under this definition. And that way, you're legally allowed to gain employment while a student. You're not allowed to work off campus if you do not have this aspect of your visa. So the CPT is authorized if you've had 1 full year in an F1 status as a student. So you have to have a full year of classes in order for this to kick in. That's why I said, your first 2 semesters, we're preparing you for the co-op, and this is normal for international or domestic students. You're always going to be in classes that first year, no matter who you are. So after that first year, you can start to opt into your co-op rotations. That first semester, you can take off and you can travel. You can go to our national parks and just enjoy your time off as a student. Or you can look for co-ops for that first summer, and you can actually opt into beginning your co-op rotations a little bit early. So students are considered the F1 visa status if they're full-time undergraduate or graduate students. So you have to continue to be full-time, whether you're being full-time on a co-op rotation or you're full-time as a student. And it is important to remember that F1 visas, and not just for co-op, these are intended for full-time students, and these are not work visas. So you can work up to 20 hours a week on campus if you have a part-time job on campus and you're not in a co-op major. So this is just general students that come here and want to also earn money. You can work up to 20 hours a week. And then when we have breaks, such as summer break or a month-long winter break, you can also take 40 hours a week to earn money. So many students do work on campus in offices, food courts, Starbucks, tutoring. There are many opportunities for students to work on campus legally, and we do not advise that you work off campus because that would be illegal. You are not allowed to work, as a bartender or in a nail salon or something like that. You must work on campus for your visa status to remain. So the opportunities for international students when you are on co-op, I've mentioned this a little bit, but you can take 3 co-ops in the United States and 2 of your co-ops around the world to save your OPT, or what's called optional practical training, for after you graduate. So you get CPT as a student. Everybody gets that. But a lot of our STEM majors are allowed to have OPT, which is basically, it gives you 2 years, I believe, after you graduate to find a job in the United States before you get sponsored by an employer. So you're working after you graduate, you have 2 years to do that legally in your visa status. You can start using your OPT as a student, but we recommend that you take international opportunities to co-op so that you save your OPT for after you graduate. If you don't really plan to stay in the United States after you graduate and work here, it's okay to use your OPT as a student when you're still in your degree. But if you want to save that for after you graduate in hopes that you might get hired here, we recommend that you do the international co-op placements so that you're saving that visa OPT time for once you've graduated. I don't know if I really gave you the full picture of that, but if you have any questions on that, please do let me know. I hope that was sort of clear. The international possibilities, like I mentioned, we have the international co-op program. You know, you could go to Germany, you could go to Japan and have those language components that are integrated in your curriculum. The international experience program, this is full-time semester in Singapore or Hong Kong or London or Santiago. And then, as I've mentioned, you could work in your home country and make connections for your future jobs there. So there's a lot of great international student opportunities that are integrated in the co-op program. Lastly, I'd like to talk about UC. So we're transitioning to just UC specific information. I know I sprinkled it here and there a little in the presentation earlier, but what's specific about UC is that we have 11 different colleges and around 45,000 students here. So we are a large public university in Ohio. We have over 350 academic programs for you to choose from and 3,500 international students. So what's great about us is that we have a large international student population, and you will find like-minded students from your country, students from similar countries, students from very different countries. But it's not so much that it feels like you've just taken your country and placed it over in Ohio. You're going to be integrated with a lot of domestic students here, which is what you probably want if you're coming to the United States for an education. You want that American experience, right? So you will definitely make American friends, and you'll make friends from all over the world. That's what I really like about our international student population. They are a good amount of people. That is, it's sizable. When you walk in the university, you see a lot of all kinds of different people, but it's not so much that you feel like, oh, where are the local students? Like, who actually is from Cincinnati who can show me around and introduce me to the city? So with that in mind, what's great about us as well is that we are internationally recognized for our faculty. We have tons of study abroad programs. We have direct admission, and we have small class sizes. So 16:1 student to faculty ratio. So you're definitely going to get to know your professors. They are wonderful people. And I think that the Midwest, which is what Ohio is, our little section of the United States, in the Midwest, people are very friendly. So you will definitely get to know your professor, your peers. You're going to make a lot of friends. What's great about that is, you know, Cincinnati feels like a second home when you do move here. Like I've mentioned, 100% of our students do experience-based learning opportunities. So whether you are doing research or you're doing a co-op placement, or you're just doing service learning and you're traveling to Tanzania for, you know, an engineering opportunity there to build water wells. There are so many different opportunities for you to opt into and learn more about the world. We also have an accredited Carnegie Research One institution status and are of the top 200 global universities worldwide. A little bit more about our co-op program at UC, since you are probably very interested in co-oping now. If you're interested in coming to UC for our co-op program, we have tons of different majors that I'll talk about on the next slide that do have it integrated in our College of Engineering, our College of Design and Architecture, optional co-ops in our business and communications programs. And missing from this list is our information technology major as well, has an integrated co-op, a mandatory co-op experience. We are 5 years to graduate. Like I had said, when you do that 1 to 2 years of paid work experience, you're not paying tuition. So you are simply making money as a student when you're not in class. I've already talked about the average earnings. I've already talked about where you can go in the world, and we are number 3 nationwide. So if you just look at the gray box, a typical schedule, like I had mentioned, it gives you a little bit of a visual. So you are in school that first year. You have a summer break where you can take an optional break if you want to and just not do anything. You can get an on-campus job if you want to, or you can look for a co-op placement if you want to. And then from there, it'll be pretty much every other semester you're doing a co-op placement. And in the black box, what's actually absolutely amazing about our university is that because we have such a long history of a co-op partnership, you know, we've had it since 1806, 1906. Yes, that is the year that co-op was discovered. We have over 1,800 partners with tons of Fortune 500 companies, many of which are working out of Cincinnati. So you can go to BP, you can go to Delta or Disney or Johnson & Johnson. Procter & Gamble is headquartered in Cincinnati. Macy's is headquartered in Cincinnati. Tesla. All of these places are hiring and are always looking for co-op students from the University of Cincinnati. A longer list of our programs of study that have co-op, if you are interested, in, which majors in the College of Engineering, here's the full list. We do have 2 graduate school programs where you can get a master's and also co-op. And we have a lot of optional College of Business and the communications as well. And so maybe you're not interested in a STEM degree. Maybe you're not interested in any of the previous majors that were listed for a co-op placement. You still have a lot of opportunities as a student to offset your tuition costs. One of which is choosing a school that is a little bit less money tuition-wise. So University of Cincinnati, I would say, maybe is not the most affordable school out there. However, there are a lot of schools that are a lot more expensive. And I do think that we have that good middle ground where we provide students a lot of opportunities, have a very affordable living cost in this city of Cincinnati, and still are, high in rankings and really give you those opportunities that you're looking for as well. So we have a Bearcat Promise Career Studio on campus. They can help you to, hone in on your interview skills, to network, to do career coaching. They give you personality assessments to make sure that you're on track with your major and you know exactly what you want to do. We have job databases. So we have one called Handshake and one called PAL, in which you can just log on and look for all of the opportunities that we have for our students. These are great ways for you to find jobs on campus and also to find co-ops and internships as well. The career fairs that we have are twice a year, and you can always tell when we have a career fair on campus because everyone's dressed up, in their business attire. They're there to go get interviewed. So essentially, there's tons of different tables in our student recreation center. It's huge. Lots of tables with lots of people to talk to. You go up to them, you're dressed nicely, you have your resume in hand. You're just having a conversation with those tables, and you're feeling out whether you want to work there, and they're thinking about hiring you as well. So if it fits and you do want to interview with them, they'll bring you back for an interview, and then they'll, offer you the job, and you can do negotiations with your salary, and you can figure out if they're going to pay for your housing experience as well. So all of these things can happen quickly, or they can happen, kind of last minute. It really depends on you and what it is that you're looking for and how many career fairs you choose to participate in and opt into. So you can go twice a year all the time, or you can just look online if you're not that type of career fair person and you would rather just apply online, that's okay too. International students, as I mentioned, can work up to 20 hours per week on campus. So if you look at these photos, we have a lot of students working in the campus recreation center. The top right is Cielo. She was a student ambassador at our office. And then the bottom is Duke. He was also a student ambassador at our admissions office. So they are having that on-campus job experience. And what's great about it is this is many students' first job ever. They are understanding what it's like to work in an office and also to work in our country as well. So what are the expectations, right? You have mentors who are going to help you learn how to do a lot of different tactical skills. And then you're also getting mentored to just go out into the real world and look for co-ops and other placements once you have that first job on campus. So UC has a lot of opportunities for students to tap into on-campus abilities. We have minimum wage payments, but for the most part, I think that that's a pretty good way to get paid to work. And then also many students choose to do internships while they are students. If they are not co-oping, they are probably interning, which I did as well. So when I was a student, I interned for a nonprofit, and it was an unpaid internship because it was a small nonprofit and they obviously didn't have a lot of money to be paying their volunteers. But I was really happy to do it because it was a way for me to build my portfolio and to have, I modified their website and I did a lot of event flyers for them. I planned an event for them. So I had all of this like tangible stuff on my resume that I could then transition into a full-time position. And then many students do find paid work experience as interns. So you can find paid or unpaid internships. It really just depends on the field and where you're looking for your internships. 1 second. All right. Lastly, I'd just like to talk about living in Cincinnati. As I've mentioned, I came to Cincinnati. I didn't grow up here. So I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is a state over. I really loved Cincinnati. So I thought after graduating, I would move away. I went on a road trip all throughout the United States. I looked at every cool city that you've ever heard of, and I really enjoyed them, but I didn't really want to live there. I ended up coming back to Cincinnati and choosing to come back to Cincinnati because it is very affordable. It's one of the top 5 most affordable cities. It's small enough that you feel like you're getting to know people, you're finding job opportunities, you're finding people at employment opportunities that know somebody there. So it does feel like you're very connected in the city, but it does feel big enough that there's a lot going on. There's so many different events every summer, every fall, every winter. It's an amazing place to really to live and to grow. So it's a great city for young people, recent graduates. It's very lively. We have a large German heritage. We have the second largest Oktoberfest outside of Munich. So we have a whole lot of breweries and festivals and really fun things going on here. And we do have a lot of Fortune 500 companies that work here in Cincinnati. So 9 are headquartered here. And one of the world's most beautiful campuses year over year is University of Cincinnati. So I'm really, really happy to be working here again. I love living close to campus, but also just being able to walk around campus on my lunch break and, sit outside and see all the lively students walking around. Obviously right now, things are a little bit different thanks to COVID, but I am so happy to get back on campus whenever things resume. And when we get back to normal, it's going to be just as lively as ever and just as beautiful as ever. So I can't talk about it enough. I think that you need to just follow our social media in order to get a real sense of what we're like. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and you can find us at admissions.uc.edu if you would like more admissions information. But again, I can just put my email again in the chat in case you missed it at the beginning so that you can follow up with me if you have further questions. Let's see. Oh, logistically, I've got one more slide. So I did mention a little bit about our tuition rates. So I just wanted to tell you a bit more about our scholarship opportunities as well. So you don't think that, it's a flat $44,000 and you have to pay that. I think that what's so wonderful about us is that we do provide international students a lot of scholarship opportunities. We have 2 specifically for international students that you don't have to apply separate. You just submit your completed application and we will consider you. So this a merit-based scholarship based on your entire application and who you are as a person. To be eligible, you have to have some sort of placement exam to show your English and math scores, and then you have to show us your high school transcripts with a decent enough GPA. Priority deadlines for most of our majors are co-op majors. If you want to be considered for, those are very competitive majors, and you should definitely apply before December 1st because that's a pretty hard deadline. As I've said, admissions.uc.edu is where you can find all of this information. But an average scholarship award for our global and our outreach scholarships is $10,000 per year and can be a lot more depending on what type of student you are. So to offset our $27,000 a year tuition costs, take $10,000 off of that, and you do have, a sizable amount of the money that you're required to pay is taken off every year. Add $10,000 of earnings from a co-op to that number, and your living expenses and your tuition costs are very, very minimal. So The living expenses is around $14,000. That is including your housing, your phone fees, your food, your books, your bus fees, or if you're paying for gas, other expenses. So that is literally every single thing. And international students live on campus their first year in the dormitories. So that has really amazing walkability to all of your classes and the libraries and the things going on campus. We have a student shuttle that's for free. It gets you around the area and the neighborhood. So there's a lot of perks to the things that are included in that number. If you have more questions about it, I'm happy to talk to you more about the dorm options. So I know I threw a lot of information at you all. Thank you so much for attending. I guess that wraps up me just talking at you, and I would love to answer any questions if you have them. There's our general international.admissions@uc.edu email, and then mine I will put in the chat. It's just about Mallory at uc.edu. So thanks for participating.
Guys, do you have any questions? Like the whole CoOp system is quite new for Kazakhstan, but I believe that it's one of the best things you can do for your career. It's like you study and then at the same time you work. So when you graduate, you already have something in your portfolio, something that you can show.
Can I ask something?
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maria, for your presentation. Is there any difference between internship and the co-op?
Yes. So
and the
go back.
Second one, can we work from the first year? Like, can we do co-op from the first year?
Yeah. So to answer your first question, there's a lot of differences between co-op and internships. The largest difference is that co-ops are always going to be a paid opportunity. Co-ops will always be paid. Internships may or may not be paid. It depends on the opportunity that you find. So that is the number one difference. And then in terms of your second question, you do have to you have to be a student for a full year before you can work in a co-op placement. So we have you in school preparing for your co-op placement for the first 2 semesters, and then you can start to co-op after that.
It means after the first year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, essentially. So a full year of academic classroom experience. That's just a visa requirement, but that's also integrated in all of our co-op programs. Like I said, there's international and domestic students. It doesn't matter who you are, you're still going to have a full year, 2 semesters of preparation before you can go on co-op, just because we want to make sure that you are a good enough student and that you'll actually have something to contribute to the work experience and the job that you're on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure. Here's the second slide too. So these are the major differences between co-op and internships. Typically, internships can be a bit shorter as well. Usually they're done in the summer months whenever students are not in class, but co-ops are in place of your class for that semester. So it could be the spring, or it could be the fall, it could be the summer too. But typically, you know, if you're a physics student and you're not in a co-op major, you are in class in the fall and you're in class in the spring, but you might have some time in the summer that you can opt to do an internship or research or something.
I have another question. Is it okay if I ask?
Please.
Do you have any major related to the English language, like ESL or English literacy, something with that?
Yeah, so an English major or English as a second language major. Is that right?
Yeah, you do have in your university?
Yes, yes, we do have that as a major. That would be in our education college, I believe, the ESL one, and then the English, just English in general, would be in our arts and sciences college.
Is it for masters as well or bachelor's?
I know you can get a master's in English, and I would assume that you could also get an ESL master's. But I can look into that for you if you'd like to get some more information about it.
Yeah, I'm more interested in ESL masters. So
Yeah,
thank you.
I can't see why we wouldn't have it. And you know, many programs just do continue on into that like 1 or 2 year master's program. So if we offer it as an undergraduate major, chances are very good that our graduate school will also offer a higher degree in it as well.
Medina, I believe you should save Maria's email. You can see it in the chat.
Yeah, I
Yes,
have
please.
already written.
Okay.
So I can text you, yeah, later about the master's degree in ESL.
Yeah, please do.
Thank you, thank you.
I'm more than happy to answer any questions now or in the future if you think of them later. Is there any uncertainty about any of the things that I said about, you know, visas or the co-op experience or, you know, how much money students can make?
How does it work right now during the COVID? How does the CoOp
A co-op
work?
placement?
Yeah.
Okay. There are going to be a lot of virtual co-op placements, I think. It really just depends on the company and the actions that they have taken. So I would say mostly you'll be virtual. Maybe you will also go in if there is the in-person component that is necessary. You know, if it's an industrial design co-op experience and you're at Fisher Price and you have to make toys, I don't know if that's something that you can do fully remote. So perhaps you'll still live in, you know, I think Fisher Price is in near Buffalo, New York. So it's in New York. You might still move there and hopefully go in certain days of the week and then maybe just, you know, draft up your ideas and your designs virtually the other days of the week. So there might just be some necessary components that you have to be in person for, and those would just be socially distanced and safely done with masks on and everything. But it really just depends on the employer and what provisions they see are as necessary.
This is like really good to know because, you know, during this time, no one really knows what's going on and what will happen. And it's good
I know.
to keep those opportunities open for students.
Yeah.
Guys, any questions for our guest speaker? Because
I'm just happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy everybody stayed this long. I feel like I talked forever.
No, actually not.
That's good.
Because like this opportunity is really unique and I absolutely love it. Like I usually recommend it to most of my advisees. Like if their parents are ready to invest some money to their, and this can be like a really good opportunity for them.
I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, I mean, I would really love if more students that you worked with came and saw what an opportunity the co-op program was. At UC, I feel like we maybe don't have the global brand recognition. However, when you get here, you'll really realize why students come here and all the opportunities that they leave with. It's a really, really great school.
Good. I think they do not have any questions.
Cool.
So thank you a lot for this presentation, and I will send you the list of the registered participants.
Sounds great.
So you will have like their names and contact details.
Wonderful. So they might start getting some emails from me hopefully soon. If they are interested in anything, they have my email as well. So thank you all so much for standing by and listening to me talk forever. And I hope to stay in touch and to see you at UC maybe eventually.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a great day.